Our Max panniers include all features within the price. You don't end up paying extra for locks and handles. There are no hidden costs. Metal Mule, engineered to be different. Proud sponsors of the bike reviews on Adventure Bike TV.
This month's bike review is the BMW GS 1250, and just to be absolutely clear, it's the GS. It's not the GS Adventure, that's coming out in 2019. Now, I want you to put yourself in the shoes of BMW's chief designer, and your brief is to take the UK and Europe and BMW's best-selling motorbike since 2004 and change it for the better without making anything worse. Now that is a tough challenge. Would you fancy that job? It is utterly impossible to talk about the GS without talking about its power and the debate that has raged for as many years as it's been around. Is it powerful enough? For the dissenters, its power in comparison to its rivals was always its Achilles heel. For the lovers, they didn't care. Well, peak power is now 134 brake horsepower at a shade under 8,000 RPM. That's up from 123 horsepower on the 1200, but it is still a little bit lower than the Multistrada and the KTM 1290, which are knocking on the door of 160 horsepower. But it is now less than a handful horsepower short of the Triumph Tiger, which has 139. Because shift cam is such an important part of the changes to the 1250 engine, I wanted to just briefly explain in some very, very simple terms what it means. Now, for anybody who doesn't know what a cam is, it sits on a camshaft in the motorbike engine. It's either an elongated or offset circle of metal, essentially, which as you turn, the camshaft, it moves in an irregular fashion, pushes against the valve, and the valve moves in and out because of the irregularity of the cam. That opens and closes the valve against the cylinder. Now what BMW have done is add a second cam, and that is a different size to the first one, and the camshaft moves depending on how much power you're applying to the throttle. Now what that does is it'll move the valve a different amount, so it'll move it more to apply more power to the engine. Essentially, that's what it does. The new shift cam helps with the uprated power, as of course does the increase in cc. The new 1250 GS is actually 1254 cc, and as the old 1200 GS was 1170, the new motor is actually 84 cc bigger, a whole 7.2% extra. So you're getting almost 9% extra power. Anyway, enough with the maths lesson. I'm not convinced that the differences in power between the BMW and its rivals are really going to make a difference in the real world. There's only so much power you can put onto the tarmac in average conditions. It'll be much more about the way in which the power is delivered, and the shift cam makes the power delivery from this 1250 GS as smooth as John Travolta's disco dancing. The new bike's chassis is, well, actually not very new at all. In fact, it's pretty much the same as the 1200s, and it's the same telelever workings up front, the same shaft drive, frame, tank, seat and semi-active suspension options. There has been a small weight price to pay. It's up 5 kilos at a claimed 249 kilos wet. There is one other significant change. The front brakes. They now say BMW, not Brembo. Now, The US manufacturer Hayes is actually not the same company as our beloved UK manual makers. They will be well known to many keen mountain bikers who will have been using their brake pads for years, and now they're producing the front brakes for the 1250. The electronics have had a bit of a makeover. There's an improved hill hold control system, which is pretty effective, and you can change the mode from fully auto to semi-manual. New to the 1250 is dynamic brake control, which closes throttle valves automatically when it detects hard braking. This is to mitigate against riders panicking in emergencies and opening the throttle whilst they're on the anchors. Every time I swing my leg over a GS, it transports me back to 10 years ago when there were so many reasons why I loved it. I bought one myself. I love the tail lever suspension. I like the linked brakes. I like the fact that the weight is so low down. It's a really easy bike to ride fast, even though you may not realise you're doing it. It's a kind of bike that's a really safe place to be and a really pleasant place to be whilst you're riding it. Just a little bit about prices. So the base model with no semi-active suspension or pro engine modes is a shade under 13.5 grand, but who's going to have one of those? The TE has the semi-active suspension, all the rider modes, quick shifter, heated grips and much more for 16,200, or you can get the exclusive TE, which has a bit of extra styling for an extra 300 quid. The GS Rally version with motorsport colours, shirt screen, gold spoked rims, narrow seat, base engine and chassis spec is 13,950, or you get the TE, which has full suspension and electronic spec package, for just a few quid under 17 grand. I want to start with a few of the small things that I do like about this bike. And they're small things but important. So the mode, the riding mode switch and the heated grip switch are accessible on your right thumb on the right hand side. You don't have to go through the TFT menu to get to those things. That means your eyes aren't drawn away from the road to the menu to play with the mode or play with your heated grips. And also, adjusting the screen, I don't think I've seen a system that is that simple or that easy to use with a gloved hand. But the question I posed to myself this morning when we arrived at Dick Lovett was, would this bike, because of the new system, be any different? Would it lose some of that essential je ne sais quoi, that character? Because of the shift cam, would it lose it, and would it stop being the bike I'd always loved as a boxer engine bike? The shift cam delivers a smoother engine, undoubtedly, and it delivers more power. And in the real world, I don't think that power really makes much difference compared to some of its competitors that do have a bit more. In the real world, no. Although they do all deliver it in a slightly different way. Does the shift cam stop it having that essential character that the boxer engine always delivered? And I think BMW have hit the nail slap bang on the head. It's great. I wouldn't want to see it any smoother because I think if you did, it would lose that essential character. But for this bike, I think it's great. Would I have one in my garage? That's a slightly different question. It's still essentially a road bike. And for me, I like something that can do both. But if I wanted to go and ride thousands of miles in a week, yeah, I would.
Our Max Pannier has won many awards, including Ride Magazine Recommended and Adventure Bike TV's Best in Test. Metal Mule, engineered to be different. Proud sponsors of the bike reviews on Adventure Bike TV.